Hi, welcome to Watch It or Don't. Tom and Dan, no Matt today, but we saw The Walk. It is the based on a true story event of tightrope walker Philippe Petit, and he walks on a tightrope between the World Trade Center towers. It is a true story. It took place in the 70s. The Walk is directed by Robert Zemeckis, the classic director of Back to the Future, Forrest Gump,
Beowulf,
CGI
Beowulf,
everything. Yep. And stars Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Philippe Petit. During the 70s, it's just when the towers are first being constructed, they're finally completed, and he's French, he's a little insane, and he decides, I'm going to hang a wire illegally.
Yes, very, very illegally.
And walk across and see what happens.
Yeah.
If you've seen the documentary Man on Wire, it is the same story.
Yeah, both based off the book he wrote.
Right. I have not seen Man on Wire. You have seen Man on Wire. Tom, would you say is this still worth it if you've seen the other documentary? Is it any better or is it any worse?
The documentary is brilliant. It's one of the best documentaries.
Yeah.
And I was actually really mad that this movie was being made because it just felt cheap to me when Man on Wire itself was so good, and it's not like a lot of people hear documentary and get worried, but it's not a boring one.
Yeah, I've heard it's great.
Yeah, it's really, really brilliant. But this movie definitely does some things that kind of expands on Man on Wire to the point where it's still maybe worth seeing. I liked it a lot more than I thought I would.
Yeah, so let's talk about this. It's a 2-hour movie. Yeah. The first hour and a half are not great.
Yeah.
There is some very over-the-top narration.
Oh, it's bad.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt standing on the top of a Statue of Liberty trying to explain his entire life.
The opening scene, when you first get introduced to it, is just the worst.
Yeah, there are cringe-worthy moments.
Yeah.
And it's kind of telling his backstory in France. He's trying to learn how to tightrope walk, and he finally gets over to New York. Mm-hmm. And then the movie actually turns in the middle, or close to the middle, where they finally actually do, it's almost like a heist. They have to try to get to the top of the tower. And we saw this in 3D. I don't know if you need to, but it's not bad in 3D.
Right.
Where the entire event of him walking across the wire is so intense and very cool. I actually kind of like heights, and I was sweating. I was so nervous. It's not even just the walk. It's like the showmanship that he does as he walks across. He maybe sticks a foot out. It's like, oh, don't do that. Don't do that.
And it's so fitting because Philippe Petit is just he's a really charismatic but roguish guy. He knows he's breaking laws. He knows he's being a bit of an ass. Yeah. But he's also just doing it so charmingly. And Joseph Gordon-Levitt is a good choice for that, I think. Right. I mean, he gets that across really well. But as far as the 3D, the one thing I will say is that there's way too much gimmicky 3D in it.
There is, yeah.
And 3D can be used really effectively when it's about, depth, but when there's things coming at you, it looks stupid. Mm-hmm. So
that's true.
There's actually a lot of really cheesy parts of
this movie. Is so cheesy and over the top, but it's still super thrilling at the end, at least.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably worth seeing just because of that. And I also say there's obviously kind of a cloud hangover because of 9/11. You see the Twin Towers a lot. This does a very good job of kind of portraying the towers in kind of an interesting light. You kind of look back and almost like nostalgic rather than remorseful of it.
But it does it in a way that doesn't make it cheap,
Right. They don't hit it over the head.
Right.
It's
in fact,
subtle.
it's pretty minimal what they do, and that's really the only way they should go about it.
Yeah.
We should probably do ratings.
Let's do ratings. What do you got?
I'm giving this one a pretty solid good.
Mm-hmm.
I really expected it to be terrible.
Yeah.
I thought that the trailers looked really bad. But having that visual aspect, especially when it is done rather well, of him on that wire, it really did add something that Man on Wire can't have just because the footage doesn't exist. So while I definitely think you're better off watching Man on Wire over this, it's not a bad thing to watch.
Yeah, I think if you're looking for a good thrill in the cinema this fall season, this is a good one to go to. Kind of like Everest, too. It's like both those movies they're not incredible, but they do offer something interesting in the theater. I'm giving this a 7.0 out of 10. It's maybe not the best movie, but like I said, I was tense. My palms were sweating, so that's something. I'd say see this movie. It's not bad.
Yeah, You're fine.
It's not my favorite, but it's not bad.
I'd say you might be better off with Everest, but
okay,
I don't know.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Or maybe just go see Sicario. That's the better movie.
For real.
Anyway, we gotta go. We're Watch It or Don't. Be sure to subscribe for more content, and we'll see you next time.